After that, we began to slowly take out small books, just a few at a time, and find people who were interested in their purchase, which wasn't a difficult task. The moment we showed one of these books to absolutely anyone, they immediately became willing to part with just about anything in exchange for it. The first place we offered a book to cleared out their entire register and a safe that they had on the wall, and said that we could take basically whatever we wanted from the store as long as we handed the book over. So we did. We cleared them out. And still, as we left, they had a smile on their face that you couldn't wipe away for anything. What we had given them was more valuable than everything we were taking. So they were fine with it. And for the time being, since we had basically unlimited access to these books, we could get basically anything we wanted, anytime we wanted it. We had a fortune stowed away, and it was only ours. We decided that the best way to use this fortune was to buy our way into the walls. Once we got inside of Newgate City, all of the problems that we had out here in the Yellow District would disappear. There were so many stories about what life beyond the gates were like, basically describing it as paradise, perfect. Everything that you could ever want or hope for, just like you were living in the old world without any of the troubles, and far more advanced technology that handled it all for you. The only problem was being able to trade off enough of the books to get the finances we'd need to buy our way in. A single book may be enough to buy out a local shop, but it's not going to be enough to buy your way in to the gates of Newgate. That takes a fortune. So that's what we needed. But getting it on our own was a dangerous prospect. With just 3 of us starting to trade away books like they were hotcakes, it was going to get hazardous very quickly. People were going to start asking questions about where we got them. Coming across 1 or 2, people can brush away as coincidence, them randomly finding something of extraordinary value. Some kids were wandering about and found an old safe with a book in it. It could be easily explained away. But in the volumes we'd need to buy our way into Newgate City, there was no way that people weren't going to come gunning. And trusting adults wasn't really something that we could afford to do. We needed people who weren't going to stab us in the back because we were kids, thinking that they're the ones who are adults, so they deserve to get all the profits or be in control. So we started gathering other orphans like ourselves, calling them out from wherever we could find them, promising them food, shelter, protection in numbers. As long as we worked together, then we could all get what we wanted. Essentially, we formed our own little organization. As far as namesake goes, for the moment being, we called ourselves Forever Recess. Over the course of a few months, we gathered nearly 60 different kids from all around our section of the Yellow District. And we began to buy up large amounts of food, weapons, even vehicles. With the monetary assets at our disposal, we could afford it all. And so, just like that, myself, Barry, and Emily became the leaders of our own little gang of kids. All of us just trying to buy our way into the Newgate City. And we were actually starting to collect a fair amount of profit from all of these books and stowing it away. However, just as expected, people had begun to catch on. They had figured out that we had stumbled across some sort of stow of large amounts of books. And so others started coming to try to figure it out. And they of course started by trying to shoot at us, or capture us in one way or another. At first it was just small-timers who thought that they could push us over because we were kids. But after we sent them packing with a buttload of bullets, they began to think otherwise. And it wasn't long before small-timers stopped trying. For a while, everything seemed clear. We stopped having our runs harassed, as we could now transport our goods with a fair amount of safety, without being harried by small-time gangs looking for an easy score. Our vehicles were fairly armored, but most of our weaponry was still handheld. So we were in the process of upgrading, getting some more heavy-duty firearms and affixing them to the vehicles. Honestly, I was the one doing most of the heavy labor on that part. I was actually in the middle of affixing a turret to one of the Jeeps that we had purchased, when I heard Barry's voice calling me. "Hey, Jax!" he shouted from the door of the large building that we had claimed ownership of, where all of the kids and us were staying, and that we had actually set up pretty well. "Come on in for a minute," Barry shouted. "We have to work over the next few days. We have a run to do, so we're going to need you there," he said, waving me over. I was in the middle of tightening the last of the bolts when it came to this heavy machine gun that I was attaching to the Jeep. So I finished up before hopping out and beginning to make my way indoors. As I did, I crossed the numerous couches and chairs filled with other kids who all waved at me as I passed, smiling. "Hey, Jax!" Lots of them waving at me. Many of them actually saluting me, as I was sort of in charge. It was kind of strange to be in charge. It wasn't a feeling that I was generally accustomed to, but it did feel sort of good, having people's respect and whatnot. But I tried not to let it go to my head. As I made my way to an upper platform, up a set of stairs, leading to an office segment of this abandoned factory that we are currently using as our headquarters, so to speak. As I entered, Emily and Barry were already there. "Well, glad you could finally make it, Slowpoke," Barry said, smiling at me. "Okay, so we've gotten up a good amount of resources thus far," Barry said, pointing to the locations on the maps that we had marked out for our territories. "But currently we've cleared out all of the nearby locations where we can trade away books for goods and cash assets, like precious metals. So if we're going to start, or should I say keep, making profit and increasing the amount of money we have stowed away, then we have to take a big move. We have to go to either the south or north areas of the Yellow District. There, we should be able to trade off a larger quantity of the books. I'd say we take about 4 vehicles. That should give us enough to defend the transport, while still leaving enough back here for everyone to watch out and cover their backsides. Since we have 8 altogether, it seems like it would work out just fine. Are you all done affixing all of those upgraded weaponry, right?" Barry said, looking in my direction. I gave him a salute. "Yes, sir," I said, with a bit of a chuckle. "All weapons have been affixed. I just got finished with the last of them just now. I have to say, someone would probably have to be rolling pretty heavily to question actually trying to take a stab at us. With those 50 cal machine guns, they'll think twice." "Awesome," Emily replied. "That's just the type of attitude we need. Positivity. Hopefully they won't think about coming after us." But just in case, we should probably take some of our more prepared members. You know, all of us still haven't been trained to use guns yet. Have you gotten on that yet, Barry? Yeah, I've been having some of the more experienced kids show the other ones how to use weapons. Make sure they're not scared of them. It's a process, but it's underway. The kids that have a little bit more experience still think that they're wasting a little bit too much ammo, but so long as they learn what they're doing, we can afford the expense. I'd rather pay for the loss in ammo than end up paying for the loss in life. I don't want us to die, okay? The more experience they have with firearms, the better.